stock of the day, talking about confession season. South32, the big base metal miner, has posted its fourth quarter operational result. WA-based Mining and Metals Group reported strong year-on-year growth in aluminium, copper, manganese, set to achieve FY23 unit cost guidance. They also flagged a $1.3 billion US dollar non-cash impairment on the Hermosa project. David Lane, the market has really focused on that impairment, hasn't it?
Yes, well, $1.3 billion, it's a very big impairment
in
to
US
focus
dollars
on.
too.
US, yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's certainly been a negative as far as the results concerned. And for the production, it was a bit of a mixed review as well. Their aluminium and alumina, metallurgical coal were down, whereas their copper were up very, very strongly across the year. Met coal was okay for the quarter and beat forecast, but across the year it was slightly down. So, a little bit of a mixed result there. And as you say, that the market's certainly focused on that big write-down.
Yeah. Highly regarded stock though, and management, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
And everyone's so bullish on copper, whether that's right or wrong is yet to be seen. But they're one of the biggest copper producers, albeit it's part of a diversified portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is one of those stocks that I've got in a lot of my client portfolios because it does give that diversification. So you've got BHP and Rio who concentrate now mainly on iron ore, whereas South32 many years ago were the assets that BHP got rid of. But now, as you say, copper, nickel, aluminium, they're some of the commodities that people are focusing on as far as the EV cycle, the renewable energies and being important. So yes, I think it is a very good company, and as you say, management over a long period of time have been very, very good. So it's a company that we like as far as a portfolio stock. We've got a hold recommendation on it at the moment. Without speaking for the analyst, I guess we'll see what the reduction in the share price does as to whether or not they change their view and look at maybe accumulating some more at lower prices.
So this is one of those really good blue chip stocks that if there's a pullback, rather than you say, okay, this is part of a downgrade cycle, we'll avoid it altogether. You see it as an opportunity to
definitely, yeah. Well, copper's one of those commodities that we see as being very, very important over the next 5 to 10 years. So South32 has a good exposure there. And we have actually seen the share price drift down over the last 6 months or so anyway. So from a valuation point of view, it's starting to look appealing. It's trading probably about 7% below our fair value. So we think, as I said, we've got a hold currently, whether or not the analyst looks at changing that view.
All right. Daniel, what do you think of the update and South32 as a stock?
Yeah, well, I think they probably released the most important news at its previous quarterly in the third quarter, where it downgraded FY23 expectations a little bit. So that's why I would say the news today is probably mostly priced in terms of, number one, the impairment, and number two, kind of the revised guidance performance. So it met all of its revised targets, and its initial guidance for FY24 was in line with expectations. So I don't think the stocks opened down too much. I think around 1 or 2%, which probably suggests that the market's probably pricing in a bit more of a negative outlook. But many of those comments stand that you just discussed with David. We certainly think it's a great management team, and the reason why we say that is because if you look at how they've kind of transitioned their portfolio over time since de-emerging from BHP, they've done a lot of huge positives, and the biggest of that was divesting its South African thermal coal business, which was quite troubled. And in recent times, it's obviously made a push towards those battery metals, and copper was the big one with the recent Sierra Gorda acquisition. So they're doing all the right things. They're probably just heading into a bit of cyclical weakness in some of their key commodities. I'd probably call out the met coal division as being arguably the most at risk, as there's a lot of supply coming online there. So that's actually, if you look at the kind of proportion of revenue and profits from South32, that's one of its biggest contributors, and I think that's probably a little bit at risk near term. So we're not in the stock at the moment, but certainly view it as high quality, and would look to buy it if the shares head lower.
Right. Okay. So what, you'd have it as a hold at the moment if you're in it?
Yeah, I think today's valuation is probably reasonable, Koshi. So I'd say holding is the move we'd take. If we did hold it, we'd certainly continue to hold it. But I think, probably it's about somewhere between that 15% above an entry price we'd look for at the moment.
Right. So 15% down, then you start to get interested.
Yeah. I think on valuation grounds, it's about it.
All right. Okay, let's